Welcome to Out of the Box with KT and JayPee. Talk from a higher dimensional perspective. Looking at current affairs and the energies of the times. With a high vibrational proactive approach. Come and explore the universe within us all. Sundays, 1 till 3 on Wolf Spirit Radio. With KT Galanti and Jay Perron. You're listening to Wolf Spirit Radio.
Whoa, how excellent everything is. What a lovely day. It's been not raining, so it's a really lovely day. I've been able to go out into the garden and do things, and I didn't tell you just before the show, is I've harvested my first potatoes. The potatoes I planted in April. I mean, people see my Facebook page when I was digging the garden, so I've now harvested my first bowl of potatoes. So I've come full circle. The harvest is here. And so tonight with my dear friend and co-host KT Galanti, we will be discussing some of the moment's energies. And there are lots of energies. So straight in, welcome KT, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. Great news about your potatoes.
Yes, indeed.
That must give you lots of satisfaction.
Oh yeah, really. I mean, unbelievable. And I haven't tried them yet, but I'm sure they'll be healing.
The proof is in the pudding, or the proof is in the puree.
Yeah, or the pie. And that's another thing. We'll talk about this. We'll talk about this later, maybe, Katie, but about the physical transformations that are going on. And, I've got a few stories, and you've probably got a few stories as well. So, Where should we start? Are we going to start with the Star of David, or are we going to start with last week's events?
Well, I don't know. I mean, last week's events basically kind of are the Star of David. I mean, the Star of David seems to be going in and out. It's kind of like a week-long event because it goes in and out of being exact depending on how the planets are moving.
Oh, I see, where the moon is and everything, because the moon runs around rapidly, changing all the aspects.
Well done. That's the deal. But the interesting thing about the Star of David was that there was a lot of rumor out there on the internet that on July 22nd, that was a time at which the Star of David was going to be exact, and also inside of the Star of David, there was another baby Star of David that was created by some of the fixed stars that were also, so it was like a double thing, right? Wow. Because the main Star of David was created by the planets within our solar system, and then there was another baby one inside that was created by the fixed stars, and I think Sirius was in there, do you know what I mean, and so on and so on. So people that look at this kind of stuff in advance, right, had put out on the internet that they felt that this was a very significant configuration, that this day, mark it on your calendars, something awful is going to happen. And it had been brought to my attention, so I had a look at it. And one of the things that I do know is that when there are very strong, powerful astrological configurations, what often happens is that the elite will use those. We can use them as well. Powerful configurations are kind of neutral in a way, okay? They just mean that there's an intense energy in the sky, and that it can be used for manifestation of various kinds. And usually the elite, dark side, whatever you want to call them, use those kind of things either to have some overt events in the world, right? Or to do some occult kind of like ritual workings, or both, okay? Sometimes it's both. And so it was quite interesting to me that exactly on that day you have the royal baby that pops, and whether this royal baby was actually reborn on that day or not is kind of irrelevant in this, because there's a lot of rumor out there that she wasn't even pregnant, that like Beyonce, she's probably had a surrogate do the whole birthing thing. But regardless, the announcement of the birth of this new being that is coming in was made on that day, which I thought was really interesting. And if this baby was actually really born on that day, it has one kick-ass astrological chart, because it has the sun and the moon in the very last degree of a cardinal sign. Cardinal signs are leadership signs, and he has the sun in Cancer at 2950 of Cancer, and 10 minutes later it would have switched into Leo. So it's a cusp sign, so it takes on even the leadership of the Leo, but it's in the 29th degree of the cardinal leadership sign. Then on top of that, 29th degrees of a sign are considered particularly powerful, and in esoteric astrology they're considered the completion of a learning path. So somebody that comes in with a 29 degree something in one of their planets, that particular planet is a planet that they have already mastered. They're just putting the last little fine strokes onto it, okay? So that they can just go out and do something else in the next incarnation if they come back, or if it's their last round or whatever. In my chart I have Chiron, that is the planet of healing, to 2950 of Pisces, right? So if I come back in another life, I'm not going to be a healer anymore. It's done. Do you know what I mean? This is my last cycle of doing this. But it also means that it's something that you already do really well and that you're perfecting, okay? And just finishing up and putting your last little bows on it. Now, in his case, the baby has 29 degrees and a bunch of Cancer. So he obviously does Cancer really well. But Cancer, it's an emotional sign and so on, but it's a leadership sign. So he will have strong leadership ability, okay? And this day was also, I think it was a full moon, and the moon is at 29 degrees of Capricorn, that is also a leadership sign. And in fact, Capricorn is usually authority and leadership in the world, while instead Cancer is leadership in the realm of emotions and nurturing, which can also mean nurturing a project, nurturing a business, nurturing a nation, do you know what I mean, and so on. He's also carrying, the Cancer energy is an energy that most people kind of feel safe around, because it has that kind of like nurturing thing. Diana was a Cancer, right? And depending if the being is a good being or not, that can be a deception, okay? Like it can be something that makes people feel at ease, but it's not necessarily, we have to see what he does with the rest of his chart. And he also has very strong Pluto aspects. I think he has a Pluto-Mercury opposition. Pluto-Mercury opposition is, again, it's power to do with speech. It's an opposition, so that he may have some challenges in that, but this in general is a fairly powerful, especially if this chart is the real birth chart of this being, right? It's a powerful birth chart, okay? Now, he also has one planet at 13th degree of Cancer, and I think it's Mercury. Let me just check one second. I think it's Mercury. And, yeah, it is. And the 13th degree of Cancer is the degree of Sirius, okay? And the degree of Sirius is supposedly, Sirius as an energy makes burn bright whatever it's associated to. And the energy in itself is kind of neutral, right? And it depends on how people use it. So he has that energy conjunct his Mercury, which again is communication, speech, etc. And in the case of a normal person, that may not be such a big deal, but in the case of somebody that could actually end up having a lot of power just because of his position, having that kind of empowered speech is also significant, in my opinion. So there was one of your friends, I think it was James, James Harkin?
Yeah, James. He's a regular, and he also runs the alexcollier.org website. So I want to put a bit of props out for him because he's doing a fantastic job there. So thank you, James.
Oh, excellent. I didn't know that. Anyway, James sent me a video, I think it was called The Zion King. It's 3 hours long. I really recommend it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I only got about 20 minutes into it before Flash crashed. So, but you stood the whole test of time. Very well done.
I did, because I started watching and I was like, aha, this is very interesting. I think it's very well done. I think it's very well researched. Okay. And there was some things in there that I knew already. There were some things in there that I didn't know. Okay. It's worth watching. It like split it up in 20 minutes, every 2 or 3 days. But if you're into understanding the royals and all of that, it's worth watching. Okay. And there was a part in there where there was something that Diana had said when she was pregnant, where she said that she had to have an induced birth. Not quite sure why, but her birth had to be induced. She was not allowed to birth naturally, right? And that Charles did not have any time on his schedule because he had to play polo every single day. Which I think is a lie, right? It's probably maybe something that was said to her, but I don't think that was the reason. And that apparently she was so pregnant, she was desperately in pain and kind of popping, right? But she was not actually allowed to be induced until Charles could come and hang around for the birth. And it just so happens that Prince William, this was William's birth, okay? Was born on a solar eclipse, okay? So it just so happened that when Charles could actually get off of his polo team games was also the moment of a solar eclipse. And so there's nothing random about these births, let's put it that way, okay? They obviously we know that the elite use astrology. They use it for a reason because it works, okay? And the moment of birth is when the energy signature of the child is imprinted, okay? And so they choose very specific times to have all of this happen. And by the way, at the time, I think that for William it was a solstice as well. So again, it was a powerful moment. And I think that the moment, they choose the moment of the birth on purpose. But then also they're using these energies to do ritual to kind of empower whatever it is that they're trying to create, okay? Because, once again, the elite actually understand how to use energy. They understand how to use manifestation. They understand that ritual is a way of consolidating and focusing manifesting energies. And so it's like they are charging up whatever event is happening through their ritual workings, and it seems that obviously this is something that they have done around all of these births, and so this one was not different in any way. I've had some people ask me if I think that if this baby is the antichrist, right?
Dan dan dan.
And
Hey, which one is it? I think it's not this one, is it? Hang on. I had these jingles all set up on this machine. Let's see. It doesn't seem to work though. Oh, I got that one. But I wanted. I've got it somewhere. It's from Star Trek. It's actually dan 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 dan. It's like drama. But it's not. That's not the one.
I know that one.
So anyway, meanwhile, little Antichrist boy.
The answer to the is he the Antichrist? Is I don't know. Right. But I'm going to explain a tiny bit about what. Okay, the Antichrist. My understanding about the Antichrist thing is that the Antichrist is actually a position in the world, right, of leadership that is actually in the temporal world. So a king would fit, okay, rather than the spiritual world, but where it's the false prophet. The false prophet is the one that, and like if we follow all of that, you know, what do you call it?
Benjamin Cream?
Armageddon.
Oh, right, Armageddon now.
Right. Do you know what I mean? The false prophet is the spiritual dude that comes in, and the Antichrist is kind of like the king of the evil world, right? But the actual real world, not the spirit world. And my understanding is that the Antichrist is actually an office, in the sense that it's almost like a position, like president or whatever. And that, so there can be many candidates to being the Antichrist. And what determines if they actually become the Antichrist is the being that actually comes in and inhabits them to do that work. So, it could be that we have more than one potential Antichrist floating around, okay? And I do believe that they really do believe in this whole Antichrist thing. You know, it's part of it. I've had reading, I've read and connected with various, you know, let's call them insiders. And I do believe that they actually do, there's such a thing as the Antichrist in their own lingo. Do you know what I mean? But it's almost like the president of all the bad guys, right? And that has a DNA, that has an energy setup, that has a bloodline, that has all of that kind of stuff, that is capable of hosting a very high-level dark being, all right? That then can do whatever work they need to do through that. So that is, and the other thing that I think is important to kind of highlight, and I think we've highlighted it again, but let's highlight it one more time, is that there is a building theme here of re-empowering the UK monarchy, right? It's like we've seen there was the royal wedding, there was the Jubilee, then was the Olympics that happened in London, and then all the hoo-ha about the pregnancy and now the royal birth. There is almost like a redirection of the focus of the elite towards the British monarchy, right? What that means, I'm not quite sure, but it's definitely a trend that is happening. It's being re-glamorized, right? Because it had been going down the tubes a little bit, and now America is kind of going down the tubes as an image, because America has been very much the one that has been at the forefront and leading for quite a long time, probably since the mid-80s, even before that, but from the mid-80s on its own. And now there seems to be a redirection of the focus towards the British monarchy and re-glamorizing that, and you know, a lot of even subliminal, subconscious imagery, like some of the Disney thing about the prince and the princess, and then they dress like the prince and the princess in the movie, so that people see these as the glamour couple, new energy, fresh energy into the monarchy. Everybody thinks they're super cool, and now they have this super baby and all of this kind of stuff, right? So I think we need to stay focused on what is happening over there.
Yeah.
In terms of what they are trying to do and what they're trying to create. Okay.
Mm. I got. Sorry. You got more to come out, because
I'm done. I'm
well,
done on this.
Here's. One of the common interests that you and I have is the Super Soldier program.
Yep.
And this character who's been known as James Casbolt, who suddenly has become Michael Prince. Now, if I can try and piece it together, because from what I understand, he was rescued at a very early age, presumably by a group who are trying to an ex-member of the same group who is trying to stop the program, because the program, they had 42 clone children, which had the from what I understand, appropriate DNA in order to hook in the soul of Lucifer. So they had all these special bloodlines, and they brought all these bloodlines together to create these things, these beings, and they cloned 42 of them, and they were released. They were sort of sprung from this facility when they were about 5 or 6. I can't remember exactly how old. And they've been brought up in the outside world, as it were, rather than this kind of closet space. So, what do you know? What can you tell us about that?
As I say, it's like I don't know why I'm saying this. This almost feels like it's not coming from me, but I'm saying the office of the Antichrist, right? It's almost like the role of president or the office of the Antichrist. Is not a being. It's a role, all right?
Yes, like the Christ as well.
Yeah, and the role is fulfilled by somebody that fits. And my sense is that they make. There's several candidates to do this, right? And also, and here, right now, I'm kind of psychicking this, okay? Because I don't really have the answer, but I'm kind of seeing some stuff, all right? So take it with a pinch of salt. This is not research. This is just me.
A bit of live stuff, yeah.
Yeah, a bit of third eye stuff, okay? But my sense is that there's different kinds of hierarchies, and that it's almost like there's a world leader, and that is for us, that is for the world, all right? Okay, so you may have one being that takes on the position of world leader, or at least world figure, right, that people refer to. And my sense is that I have a strong intuition that will likely come from the British royals. They may change their mind, do you know what I mean? But at the moment, the energy seems to be very focused in that direction, all right? Now, they may also have a leader that has to do with them, that doesn't have to do with us and with the world, but has to do with them and with their own hierarchy, and with their own hierarchy in their underground world, right? And by underground, I mean literally underground, and I mean also underground in the sense that it's all hidden, okay? I'm not sure that the two are actually going to be the same, right? So it may be that you're going to have an external leader for the world. I mean, we're hoping that there's no external leader, okay? Our intent is that none of this manifests. I'm just going to premise that. Okay, but if we're reading the plans, and if you can read the plans by what you see happening, I think that they're building some kind of world external leader that has something to do with the UK and with the royals. And they also may be at the same time building a occult hidden leader, and that may very well fit with the Casbolt story. Okay?
Yep.
And Casbolt is a strange character for me because I feel extremely... The first time I saw him, in the very first video, I don't know how long ago that was, I was like, I know this guy, right? And I don't think I know him from this lifetime. I know him from some other time, right? But I felt like some people say that they know him because they've been in a project. I've been in no project. I know I haven't been in a project. Do you know what I mean? Like I know, but my history is different. Mm-hmm. I've had trauma, and I've had enough trauma to understand trauma. Right, but my history is not a project history, okay? And so that's not the connection, but the connection felt almost like past life person. I know this person, right? I've encountered this person before. And that feeling has not gone away in all of the time in which I've seen him. And in fact, I was supposed to go to the Super Soldier Conference, remember? And I was like, I bet that if I go, I'm going to talk to him because that it felt that was going to happen. But then I got massively psychic attacked, literally hours before going. And I want to go into that later because it's relevant. But maybe we can make a note on that and go back to it later. But basically, I got psychic attacked so much. I had voices telling me to suicide. I had my body was so heavy I couldn't pack. All sorts of stuff. And basically, I ended up not going because I couldn't even get myself to finish packing to go. Right? So that was a weird experience, and many more weird experiences followed that. And I want to go into it later because it's relevant to something that I want people to understand and to know. But before that, Casbolt, I think is a soul-wise. I think his soul is very high. His original soul is very high. Okay, and that is, I think, one of the reasons for which people are quite drawn to him. Because in general, I've noticed that people are very drawn to him. Right? He has a very high soul. He also has high authority that comes through because of that. Okay. However, he is also programmed, right? And at the moment, I'm not sure what he's doing. At the beginning, I felt that his positive sides were coming through. Okay. And right now, he's definitely deep into the belly of the beast. And I can see why they want to, even with him, it's a royal marriage of some kind, because they got him.
And Haley Meyer, yes.
And right. Okay, so Haley is also bloodline and all of that kind of stuff. So, and they had said that one of the, if I remember this correctly, in Miles's basis 23, I think it is, that it's the last extensive interview with Casbolt, which I think is really, really worth listening. And it's another 4-hour thing. Take a week off and listen to the thing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these things are incredibly long and really quite intense, especially with Casbolt and all that lot.
The Casbolt one, it's worth listening, and it's worth listening to it again, a second time, because he says a lot of stuff in that interview that seems far-fetched, but actually the Spidey truth thing was going, no, this is all true. He is not exposing, I don't know exactly what it is that he's doing, because obviously his allegiance at the moment is with the underground world, right? His soul, however, is really, really high. And I mean light, okay? He has a light soul, and it's very high. And down here, he is deep in the belly of the beast, and at the moment he's wearing a dark t-shirt. And I don't know what's going to happen as things roll forward, because he may be somebody that at the soul level is playing both sides of the team, and that maybe he has some kind of agenda that even Casbolt doesn't know about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, for somebody with multiple personalities, you never know who you're going to be talking to when you look in the mirror next. So
that's right.
It's
whatever personality is engaged right now, it's doing the work of the dark side, but it's still telling the truth. All right? And as we know, part of the Luciferian MO is that somebody has to release the truth. Right? Because that is their way of neutralizing karmic law, or at least this is how they think that they're neutralizing karmic law. I'm not sure that they do manage to do that. But basically, in their book, it's that if we have told you something and we have told you what is happening, then you now have your free will to counteract it or not. And if you don't, then we're karma free. That is the reason for which karma is a real law. There's disinformation out there going out right now, massive disinformation about the fact that reincarnation is BS and doesn't exist, and that we are trapped into a reincarnational loop that was created by the reptilians, blah, blah, blah. That's not true. That's bullshit. Okay? Reincarnation exists because the soul wants experiences. If you go to dimensions that are way outside of this planet and way outside of any kind of frequency loop, you can go and tap into all your records and stuff. One of the things that is happening on this planet that is caused by the dark overlords, reptilians or whatever, is another thing to read. Susan Reed. Read Susan Reed. Susan Reed, The Body Snatchers, right? And it's on educateyourself.org, free. You can read it. Read. Another thing to read and read again, okay? Because there's lots of stuff in there, and you read it once and you only get pieces of it, and then the second time you read it and you get more. And in there, what she does say, and this I feel is true, is that what they're doing is that they're putting karmic inserts into people. It's almost like karmic implants, okay? So people end up reliving the same karma over and over and over, right? It's like copy and paste karma patterning into the field, right? And that way they spin their wheels and they don't, like, they evolve and then they're stuck in the same place because they're still spinning their wheels, okay? And in fact, anybody that's listening right now, all you need to do to disable that kind of stuff is just be aware of it and ask Source to remove it, okay? So just in case, ask Source to remove that shit, all right? And take it out of your DNA, take it out of your energy field, take it out of the collective consciousness streams, just take it out. One of the biggest deals about these forces is that they have a lot of knowledge that we don't have. Once we have the knowledge that they have, and once we know what they're doing, it's actually really easy to undo a lot of the stuff that these beings do, okay? They're not actually that high in consciousness. They're not that evolved, and you can override them. You can override a lot of the energy stuff that these beings are doing. But the issue is, we don't know what they're doing half the time, right? So this, I think it's true that they're slicing in karmic inserts into people's fields, into people's DNA, and therefore they're keeping them stuck. Another thing that they're doing is that with specific souls that they may register as a threat to them, right? When they die, they try to capture their soul sparks and they put them into some kind of trap, like prison thing, right? Like a net. I have looked at this and I think that's true also. But the thing here to remember is that the actual soul does not incarnate. They cannot capture that. The real soul hub is outside of this dimension, cannot be captured. All that they're capturing is like the 1-2% that is required to power a body, right? And you can retrieve that stuff. Again, go to Source to retrieve any soul fragments that you may have littered around through all of your incarnations, especially if they have been traumatic and the dark side has taken some of it, okay?
So, Katie, can we, is it possible, you remember you talking about doing a meditation later, is it possible we could chuck a couple of those in just to kind of, as a public service, you know?
What do you mean, like with the removal of all of this stuff, right?
Yeah, just a couple of clearings while people are connected to the source, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, so shall I go in just a little bit? I want to do a premise and then we can go into that. And I'm going to tell people, I've had a lot of energy come through for this particular show, and for some of the information that I'm sharing at the moment, and in particular for this meditation activation that I'm going to be doing later, right? Because I think it's important, and usually I don't really like to do that many processes or meditations on shows and stuff, because people don't really tune in for that. They're tuning in just to listen to, you know, they just want to listen, right, and learn and so on. But I think it's important to give also people some tools every now and then, and the beings that work with me seem to be very hot at the moment on giving people tools so that we don't just talk about this stuff and we actually empower people to shed some skins and go higher and so on and so on, okay? So when we go into the meditation piece, it's actually a process. If you can't follow it all because, it's too long or whatever, we're going to record this and put it on the archives, and we'll stick it on YouTube as well, right?
Yeah, I'll clip it out.
Yeah.
And make a separate meditation.
You can go back and you can do it again, okay? Or if you want to do it, and if you don't want to do it, it's fine. But if you're drawn to it and you miss some pieces, you can do it again at a later time, okay? And this just seems to be the way in which it wants to come through at the moment, so I'm going with it. Now, to get into this piece, I wanted to explain a little bit. I'm going to go back to the Super Soldier Summit, right, that I didn't go to, because I didn't manage to get out of the door. Although I think it might have been a good thing, because strange stuff went down.
Too right. I mean, there was a weird video that came out afterwards that was very, very odd indeed.
That was also very long. all about, some kind of group MyLab experience or whatever. So anyway, around that same time, I was going through something very painful in my personal life, right, that I'm still kind of processing. And so I was kind of heartbroken. Something really heartbreaking happened, and my heart literally was shattered, right? And I'm human. I feel pain, right?
Oh, bless your heart. Yes, you do. Yeah.
I feel pain.
You have a big heart, Katie, and it very yeah.
And it took me out in a fairly significant way, right? And this event happened. I'm not going to go into it because I just want to protect privacy and all sorts of stuff. So it's kind of private. We'll just call it painful, okay? And so I was not in a very strong space emotionally. In fact, I was pretty cut up and I was grieving, do you know what I mean, and all sorts of stuff. And while all of this was happening, I had already booked all of my time to go to the Super Soldier conference. I had booked it like a month before or something. I was all ready to go, but I was still feeling kind of vulnerable. Then all of this psychic attack kind of started, right? And it did not let up. It went on for 5 weeks straight, day and night, okay? And psychic attack doesn't even cover it, because I've had psychic attack before, but this was not the same as before, right? Like, I've entities trying to mess with me all the time. I mastered that class a long time ago, do you know what I mean? But it was almost as if, because my heart was broken and my emotional body was vulnerable, I was less shielded, right, than usual. And at the same time, I have been working, I'm not doing it at the moment, but I had been working long term for about 6 months with one client. And this client had the most massive, complicated, demonic reptilian possession I have ever seen, okay? And literally, we got to the point where, when I was doing sessions with this guy, my blender would switch on and work on its own. The coffee thingy would switch on and do its own thing, and like all of the electrics in the house would start talking.
Like something out of The Exorcist.
Like something out of The Exorcist, and it was like, okay, all right, breathe. Do you know what I mean? So, and one of the characteristics of this particular person was that he was actually he had a string of past lives in which he had been really dark, really dark, top of the pyramid kind of dark. And so he was plugged into the kind of mothership kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't just one being. He was plugged into the whole, I had to go...
Like he was in the Borg?
Yeah, he was. He was really in the Borg. I had to actually go into the Borg and astral project into the Borg to go and get some pieces of him and bring them back. And so on and so on. And I think I stepped on a few toes.
Yeah.
When I did this, I think I stepped on a few toes that they were not too happy for me to step onto. So anyway, so all of a sudden, I've got the most massive attack going on that I've ever experienced in my life. It's day and night, five or 6 weeks of this. And how it was manifesting was I was literally being beaten up physically, so that it literally felt like somebody was punching me in the stomach physically, right? But there was nobody there. Do you know what I mean? And I was being avalaunched with emotional triggers. And their favorite one was, you know, you're a piece of shit, you're worth nothing. Why don't you go into the kitchen and get your knives and slit your wrists, right? Because obviously you're not managing to doing anything worthwhile on this planet. Time for you to go.
So, that's
right, so
not the kind of thought, not the kind of thought that you normally have. You're normally like, oh, where's my tomato plant? You know.
No, not, and especially not, it really felt assaultive. It felt, I could feel it coming in from the left side of my head, right? And I felt I was being assaulted. It was like assault, assault, assault. I also was being assaulted in my womb and in my ovaries. They were like squeezing my ovaries and really hurting me. And then I was having nightmares at night. I was having out-of-body experiences at night in which I was fighting like some army or whatever. And then, and in the middle of this, I'm grieving, right? And I'm like, okay, this is not fun. This is not a fun experience. What happened to my teams? Where's my shield, right? Because my shield collapsed. I could not shield. At a certain point, I was like on the ground bleeding. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't. Figuratively, I wasn't literally bleeding.
Yeah,
I just could not
no energy.
fight this off. It was just too much. So one morning I wake up and I have this voice that was from my councils. I could recognize them really clear. My councils are high dimensional, friendly beings. And basically they said the only way you can counteract this, Katie, is you have to download your source body. And I was like, okay. And that was it. End of transmission. Right? So I walked around a little bit. Okay, source body. What does that mean? How do I do this? Do you know what I mean? And then I just thought, okay, I have to go into source and I have to go and take down the part of me that is source and bring it forward. And I saw it. I just saw what it is that I needed to do. And I knew I needed a lot of energy to do this. Okay? So energy as in high frequency, right?
Yeah.
And so I started meditating. I got my light body meditation tapes out again. I started meditating 3-4 hours a day. I cancelled all my clients. Luckily, I had some savings enough that I could pay 1 month of rent. So I cancelled all my clients, every single one of them, including reptilian client, right? That I still haven't resumed because I don't know. It's like motherboard has to wait, mothership has to wait a little bit. But yeah, so I did all of that and started drinking water that I would radiate with source energy. I would put source energy into my water. Then I changed all my jewelry and spent a whole bunch of money on tanzanite that is really high frequency. Put a whole bunch of tanzanite on my body. And then just started meditating and bringing in light and bringing in light and meditate and bring in light and meditate and bring in light. And in the middle of this, I saw 3, at some point, this stuff is going to sound so far out. Do I go there anyway? People are going to think I'm a freak.
Look, Katie, we all love you, and we're all in the weird world. Weird is the new normal, as Rebecca says, and as I say, watch out for the new weird. So here's with some of the new weird, Katie.
Some of the new weird is coming. Hold your hats. So anyway, in this meditation, this silver being, right? Silver shining like metal. Angelic looking, right? Not with wings, but just high, like source being, came through and grabbed a hold of my third eye and literally opened it with whatever, it looked like hands. Obviously it was a visual, do you know what I mean? Like I'm not, it doesn't mean that it's a being, but that's what I saw. and it opened my third eye as if it was literally with a forcep, pushing it wide open, right? So it was almost like my third eye was like as big as a large section of my forehead, and then this crystalline thing started building up on my third eye that was also silver. Then this crystalline thing starts building on the top of my head, right? And I was like, okay, this is fun. And then as soon as they did that, then I could see, because my clairvoyance had gone away, and as soon as they did that, I could actually see what was happening. And I saw a massive cord that was like the size of a tree trunk, right? Going from some spaceship, right?
Spaceship, right, okay.
Yeah, mothership type spaceship, right? Not friendly. Into my back, right? And it was literally taking up most of my back, and it was attacking me from the back. And one of the things that had been happening was that my kidneys packed up in the middle of all that. And this is going to sound gross, but I could no longer go to the bathroom. And so I put on 18 pounds of water in 3 days, right? And I was scared because, that's not fun.
No, that I remember.
So I saw that, obviously, that was the attack on my kidneys. I saw it, right? Then I had this black cord that was going from my heart chakra to the beings that were attached to the person that I was having this grief experience with, right? And it was a black, like obsidian black cord going into my heart chakra and literally squeezing the hell out of it. And then I had 2 black cords going to my womb, and they went into a past life in Egypt, another group of demonic beings from there that was attacking me from Egypt, but not on this timeline, right? And I was like, okay, no wonder I'm not having such a great time here. This is not fun.
Wow. I mean, there's a lot to deal with here.
Yeah, now I can see that why I'm having some issues right now. Right? So anyway, so then I had to, and the thing is, like, for some reason I couldn't pull these guys out. It was usually in a situation like that, you pull stuff out and it goes, but it was not going. It was too strong. So I got back to the download the source body thing, right? And basically I just meditated and brought in more light until all of these cords snapped. Okay? They all snapped. It was like, okay, now I could no longer be in reach. And then when that happened, it was like my mind cleared, because my poor mind, at the level of overload they were obviously really plugging the grief. Do you know what I mean? It was like, this person is grieving, let's just really hit on every single thing inside the emotional body. It was a very unpleasant, I must say, it's probably one of the most intense, not fun experiences I've ever been through, right? In this lifetime, because I've got a feeling that I've been through something like it before, but in Egypt. Long time ago. And in fact I know so. But anyway, so all of a sudden I managed to unhook from all of this drama, and then things kind of went back to normal. Do you know what I mean? And now every now and then I can feel them kind of trying to hook in again, and when they do, I just go back into meditation and go to the next level. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's almost like a top up of the energy. Okay.
So in a way,
yeah.
These challenges have given you an increased insight for a start, and an increased strength, but you didn't need it. At the time, it didn't feel like you needed it.
Let's say that it was a little brutal as far as initiations go, right? It was intense. But I know why, and here it comes to the piece that I want to share, because I know why I was supposed to go through that, because, for example, even the past few days, I've been listening to some stuff on the Bases series, right? And I actually really like what Miles is putting out. I think he's doing good work, right? And a lot of the people that a lot of the times he's asking this question of, okay, so what do we do? How do we shut this out? How do we overcome this? How do we do whatever? And I have always known this, but I knew it theoretically. Now I know it in a very physical, embodied kind of way, right?
Yeah.
That
Visceral.
That what we need to do is we need to climb up in frequency. And this is not a New Age statement, okay? It's literally, it's physics. It's, if you want to get out of the dark zone,
Did I lose you? I lost you, Katie, for a second. If you want to get out from the dark zone, start from there.
Sorry?
I lost you for a few seconds there, Katie. So do you want to start that again? If you want to get out of the dark zone, you were saying.
Okay. Yeah, you're breaking up on me, by the way. Right. Am I breaking up on you? Can you hear me clearly?
Now you can, yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. If you want to get out of the dark zone, literally you have to get out of the dark zone. That means frequency-wise, you have to get higher. You have to senior this energy. You have to senior it. You have to go beyond it. Okay? This particular group of beings that we are dealing with that has kind of hijacked a certain level of a planetary existence, right? You can call them Dark Orions, you can call them whatever it is that you want to call them. It doesn't really matter. It's a group of beings that are messing with the natural evolutionary process of humanity, okay? We may have called them in on some level because we wanted an initiation of this kind. That's it, but on the nuts and bolts of it is whether they're catalyst for us or not, right? These beings are the function and the role that they serve at the moment is to block the natural evolutionary process of humanity. And I call it natural evolutionary process because the solar galactic field pulse that is coming in, and that has been coming in, and that is going to continue to come in for a while, is a natural evolutionary process. And if we did not have this force on this planet, we would naturally step up without hindrance, okay? But because we have this force on this planet, there's a lot of blockages to doing this, which makes us work it extra hard, right? Like, we have to really earn it to get to the next level. Okay, so in this particular force, it inhabits a certain range of energy bands. You can call these energy bands dimensions if you want to, but all that they are is like frequency ranges, all right, like slots of frequency.
Yeah, so it's like what we'd call, for instance, AM or FM or UHF, wave bands.
They have a certain spectrum that they hang in, and but they can't go beyond it. Or they could, if they connected to source, they could do that, but they're not about to do that. They hate source. They're not going to do the connecting to source thing, right? Okay. Now, I actually interviewed a reptilian being via one of my clients at some point for a couple of hours, right? I made notes and everything. I was like, okay, and so reptilian, would you tell me why do you do this? Why do you do that? I wrote 6 pages of notes. It was hilarious. It was like really doing an interview, okay? And the being, they're kind of tricksters, so what they tell you is not always the truth. But it was kind of saying that at some point they, whatever their home base was, got destroyed. And it got destroyed because of their bad behavior. I know this, but they blame it on Creator destroying their home base. So they really don't like Creator or whatever. That's their story, okay? Well, at least the story of this particular being, all right? So anyway, we, as a planet, at the moment, humanity has various bands of experience. The majority, the mass consciousness, is vibrating kind of low, right? Very much in the range of these creatures. And then there's several consciousness streams that go higher than that, okay? And then there's some beings that are vibrating really, really high, and so there are some consciousness streams that are super high, okay? So some beings some souls that are on the really high consciousness streams, in some ways, if they're disengaged from the world, they can already have what one could call an ascended experience, okay? Because they're already out of the range of all of this stuff and all of this darkness, etc. Now, my understanding is that as a planet, if we want to get out of this, okay, aside from the 3D work that we're doing in terms of exposing and in terms of, that's valuable. I'm not knocking it, okay? I think it's very valuable. And in some ways, it was absolutely necessary. And it's still necessary, although I feel that we have uncovered about 90% of what needed to get uncovered, right? Like, we've uncovered a lot, I think, as a group soul that has come in to do this. We've done a lot already. Now there's the next step. Okay, so now we know who's here and we know what they're doing, we know what their agenda is, we know all the rest of it, but we have to go to the next level, that is to take the consciousness of humanity out of the zone in which they can be influenced by these beings, right? To do that, you have to raise your frequency, okay? So, going back to the consciousness streams, we have to, the mass consciousness of humanity, it's almost like you do an average of those consciousness streams that I was talking about, right? So let's say you have 15 different consciousness streams. Some are really low, some are really high. Very few people in the very high consciousness streams, a whole bunch of them in the lower consciousness streams. What you need to do is to make that average higher, all right? So that eventually everybody gets momentumed up. Does that make sense?
At a particular place in the show, Katie, where we can maybe take a little break and give us a chance to go and refresh. Well, I'm going to go and refresh my tea on the stove, put some more logs into it, and then that's really logging on. And then what we'll do, we'll come back, we'll have a little more discussion, and then we'll be...
we'll process, okay.
We do a process, and I've been speaking to, I've got various chats going while we're talking, and the next guest that I have is Jay Larson, and he makes scalar devices. And what he's going to do is, once we've done the meditation, he's going to plug the MP3 of that meditation into his scalar device, pointing at a representation of the Earth.
Excellent.
So he'll be able to broadcast that on a gravity wave, basically.
Yay! Now I have performance anxiety.
No pressure.
No pressure.
So
right, go get tea and I'll get my water.
Yeah. So I'm gonna play as one of my favourite songs. This is from David Bowie. I don't know if you knew that, David. You're a bit younger than me, but you probably know. This is Soul. It's going to be Soul Love.
Oh, no.
You're listening to Wolf Spirit Radio.
So, welcome back to Out of the Box with Katie Galanti and JayPee, and we're discussing the energy of attack, how to protect yourself, yeah. I mean, you're very good at holding thoughts. So, where were we, Kate?
Seems to be my job. Well, it's about protecting from an attack, but it's also about protecting this planet, okay, from these energies and from these beings and from this group consciousness that is naughty.
They're a very, very naughty Borg.
They are very naughty Borg. So, yeah, and so as I was saying before, that my knowledge of knowing that the antidote to some of this is bringing in high frequency has now been validated by experience, and so it's become really clear to me that one of the ways for us to take our planetary consciousness to the next level as a group consciousness, and to get this particular group of beings to kind of leave or to not be able to impact us anymore, is to actually take our energy really, really high into a zone where they cannot interact. And the more people do this, the more, because obviously we do this one at a time, right? In the sense that, first of all, if you bring in a very high light, for some that can be almost like burn the circuits, right? So it's not necessarily something that every single person can do at any given time. We have our own personal evolutionary timetable, and when I do the process, I'm going to put some safeguards in there, okay, so people don't take on more energy than they can handle. But even if it's only a group of people that focus on getting the energy to go really, really high, what it does is that it anchors that energy, and it creates really high consciousness streams in which the energy of humanity is anchored, and then that automatically pulls up the other streams so that they go a little bit higher as well, right? It's almost like it averages that out so that everybody ends up going a little bit higher. And so then the collective consciousness starts to shift upward, and the more people are working on building the high consciousness streams, the more humanity as a whole ends up in a higher zone, and the more we get into this higher zone, the more we see clearly, the more we can see through illusion, the more we can, make choices that are more in alignment with our true nature. We are less easy to manipulate, all of that kind of stuff, and we're also less easy to infiltrate energetically, because one of the things that is going on this planet, that is now people are starting to talk about it, but it used to be not a topic that people talked about that much, is the absolute level of astral, call it demonic, call it whatever, infestation of dark energy that is going on this planet. Like literally every single person that I work with, if they have never had a clearing before, they have attachments. People get attachments through drinking too much. Attachments from entities, right? If you drink too much, if you drink to the point where you alter your consciousness, you damage your aura, entities come in, and they can, and they do, all right? If there's no karma between you and the entities, they can be easily cleared and they will leave. But most people have no clue about this stuff, so the entities stay, right? And the entities work through them. Then all of a sudden the person is nasty, mean, beats up his wife, and his children, and becomes abusive and all the rest of it. And I'm not saying that there's no responsibility there, because similar patterns hang together. But there's an overlay of darkness that is actually not even from here. And in fact, I've almost come to the conclusion that there's certain things like, a certain kind of abusiveness, like that you get with the sociopath, and the psychopath and so on. I'm not even sure that is a human energy. It works through the human body, but I'm not sure that is actually even us to some degree. It's just something that's very predatory that comes in from the outside.
Okay.
Anyway, so...
Sorry, I was just going to say, we're talking about Casbolt being...
You were about to say something?
Yeah, we're talking... I'm sorry. But you know, we're saying about Casbolt being like bred to be in tune with this energy so that it can easily take over his body. Is this not similar to what you just talked about? Is that these entities are like tuning you in so that you can get that, you know, really hardcore Dark Lodge download?
No, you're really breaking up on me, so I barely heard that. Can you repeat it?
Oh, right. Yes, I'm getting breaking up now. Let me try that again.
Sounds good. No.
Yeah. Interesting. As soon as we start talking, anyway.
Yep. And by the way, since the break, I had a massive headache right in the middle of my surgery.
Oh, have you? Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm now working through a third eye. But it's fine. I don't care. We're going to keep going. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those of you who are listening may suffer some small interruptions, but yes, I'm back on the two lines now, so that's good. We get this sometimes, and you know, I'm not. You know, I try not to be paranoid, and I try not to think, well, there are dark forces attacking me, and you know, nothing that can't be proved, you know, that isn't grounded. But there are times when Skype goes ape. And I'm sure that it's not a magical thing, and I'm sure it's pretty much I don't know whether they get Chinese sites to do it, or it's the 3-letter agencies or whatever is going on. But I get these little batches of being hit. So maybe there's sort of automated bots somewhere with our name on it.
No, but it always seems to happen at key points in conversation.
It does, doesn't it? That's the weird thing.
So, okay, all right, we hit a nerve. So, what was your question? What were you saying? You were saying something. It was obviously important.
Yes, we were talking about these attachments, and you were saying that this particular attachment was a kind of more strong one, a heavier duty one.
Yep.
And so I was saying that in that Casbolt and his crew were attuned. They were bred to be attuned to the energy of Lucifer. What is the? Do you think that these attachments are like they're in order to attune us to something darker that is behind them? That's what I'm getting to.
Yes and no. Okay. I think that the Earth plane has been a demonic cesspool for at least 13,000 years. Okay? So I don't think we're being bred for anything. I think they bred us already. And I think that substances like alcohol, right, and drugs, but alcohol is an interesting one because it seems like such a friendly, have fun little substance, right? And yet, it's a demonic gateway extraordinaire. You know, people that drink, they're like riddled with stuff. And I'm not talking just, you know, I'm talking like real alcoholics and stuff. Their field is trashed, right? And by the way, another thing that allows that kind of access is psychotropic medication. So anything that alters consciousness in a fairly significant way. And by psychotropic medication, I mean even things like Prozac, right?
And Ritalin as well, yeah?
So it seems that the heavy... Yeah, Ritalin, yes, and SSRIs more, okay? So all of this trend to medicate people, they've kind of walked away from what worked in psychotherapy, all right? Really, the evolution of psychotherapy to some degree in the mainstream stopped around 1980. Do you know what I mean? It's like they inserted the drugs in, and now that's what doctors make you do. They make you take the drugs, and the insurances don't cover real psychotherapy. And my experience also is that people that get trained in psychotherapy don't get trained properly, so they don't actually know how to work with trauma. I know how to work with trauma much more than a lot of therapists do, because I've had trauma, so I understand it, and I had to learn about it through my own skin to kind of get out of my little trauma pockets, right?
That's right, and that's the way initiates work. They deal with their own problems and are able to help everybody else.
That's right. I haven't gone into my history because I don't really want to, because in some ways I'm trying to protect my family, right? But I was dissociated when I was 8 years old. I had to climb back out of that. I was dissociated until I was 24, right? And I had to learn. I was very blessed in many ways because I had all the right people come at the right time to help me. So I learned a lot, and I learned very fast, and I managed to get out of my trauma thing pretty fast, right? And I know that I chose that. I know that I chose to experience all of the things that I experienced so that I could experientially work it out. Do you know what I mean? How it works. And so where did I go into the trauma thing? Oh, yeah, because now the psychotherapy people, they don't actually heal people, right? They don't really heal them. They make people talk, but there's not a hell of a lot of real, true healing that goes on. And most people get medicated. Now, there's a reason for that, because trauma creates a weak field. Alcohol creates a weak field. Trauma very often is created by entities anyway, because a lot of people that have experiences of abuse of various kinds have parents or caregivers or whatever that have weak fields that are infiltrated by beings that run amok, right? And that has been in some way increasing because the agenda is to keep humanity at the lowest vibratory rate possible, okay? Because this consciousness lives in that lower vibratory rate, and to some extent uses the energy of trauma, grief, stress, fear as their own deal, right?
It's their food.
Yeah, well, it's food, but at the same time, it keeps us in a compatible range, right? Because I think we're their food, but I think we're also their slaves. I think we build the world that they live in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's various levels to the function that we serve for them, right? And so to the antidote to a lot of this stuff is literally get your frequency really, really high, okay? So if people are game, I think we should go into the little meditation thing, right?
Right. There's one thing I'd like to just clear, because there's a question that is there's the questions that came from the chat room just quite a while ago from Modius, he's just wondering where you got the information. We were talking earlier about the Antichrist and like the office and all that stuff, all that information. Where does that come from?
Okay, reading that I have done in various places and then pulled together. I read a lot of stuff. I don't always remember exactly where I get what I get from, right? But if you read like 25 different sources, okay, then you start to form your own ideas about stuff, right? So basically research, okay? And then I had a second-hand connection to somebody that was in connection. So this is like a relay, okay? Like
it's a very tenuous connection, but that sounds good enough.
It was a strong passing of information, but it didn't happen between me and somebody on the inside. It happened between me and there was a person in the middle that connected, okay?
Okay.
Which I think was a way for me to get information and be protected at the same time. Do you know what I mean? And this person was aware and part of this whole bloodline DNA grooming process that had to do with the creation of the Antichrist, right? And as you do you know what I mean? Oh, let's chat about something. Okay, that's your friend. Okay, well, we're kind of grooming we're kind of like looking at the bloodlines for the next Antichrist. Oh, really? I'm having a cup of tea today. That's how the conversation went. I'm serious.
Just over a nice tea and cake, you're right.
So anyway, so that's the answer, okay? It came to me via research, but it also came to me via some source, but it was not a direct source, okay?
Yeah, a source close to the original, or the sort.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yes.
But not direct, okay?
You know, I've been having this sense. It's a feeling in my head. It's really odd. It feels like, you know, when you tip your head forward and you feel your head moving forward. It's like I tip my head forward, and then a second or so later, I feel my head tip forward, and it's like slightly, I don't know. Anyway, I've been having this feeling in the last couple of weeks. Really, it's getting weird.
You're not fully in your body. You're not fully in your body. Okay, you're 80% in, 20 out.
All right. Okay, that makes sense.
I can see it right now. You need to pull yourself in, if you want.
Pull yourself together, man.
You need to pull yourself all the way into the body, right? And one of the ways to do that is literally there's a point that is 2 or 3 feet underneath the feet. Imagine there's a line going down your central channel with your chakras. It goes in between your feet and then down into the earth. Mm-hmm. Okay, 2 or 3 feet down. Earth star chakra, right? And what you do is that you focus all of your energy onto that, and it will pull in your being into your field, okay? And sometimes when people talk about dissociation, that is actually what dissociation is. People are not in their body anymore. They're like, when somebody is really dissociated, they're actually out. They're not in there anymore. You know what I mean? And so the lights are on, but nobody's home for real. Do you know what I mean? Okay. And to pull themselves back, that's more complex because they have to deal with the trauma that is pushing them out of the body in the first place.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's another thing is you know that's probably why, because I'm going back into my trauma and.
That's right. You are, and you know, I don't want to go into your stuff if you don't want to, but I didn't mention that. But if you're dealing with any kind of trauma memory, you're processing or whatever, sometimes when you hit stuff that is kind of like hot buttons, right, and you're processing really hard, you can go out of body a little bit, and you can dissociate a little bit. It's part of the release process, right? Once you're done with that, the body literally becomes more empty of stuff, and then you can inhabit it much better.
Yeah, this is something that we've discussed with various guests, but there's one that comes to mind is Isis Neef from a few months ago, and they were saying that they've been doing so much purification work that they're almost that it shows in their skin. That when they remove stuff from their bodies, their skin changes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the level that they're working at. It's just amazing, and they're very, very clear. You know, but the trouble is, you're that clear. You can't go into a shopping mall. It's not a good time, is it? You have to get people to go out shopping for you.
Yeah, no, I understand. You can, but you have to make it, because that means you're pure, but it doesn't mean to be able to withstand, let's call it discordant energy, and even without the entity piece, just discordant energy from people that are chaotic, right? You have to have a strong field. And a strong field is kind of like, that's step 1, purify, step 2, strengthen, okay? So the strong field means that your field, if your field is really solid with light, nothing goes in it, all right? Because other people's stuff just bounces off of the walls of your field, right? So that doesn't mean that people are not empathic. It doesn't mean, you know, we're talking almost like, you know, avatar consciousness, okay? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you, an avatar, I don't like to use that name now because it's been spoiled by the movie, but you know what I mean, like really high consciousness in the body. It's, most people don't get there because it's like, you know, it takes time to get there. But if One is capable of really clearing all the trauma all the way and solidifying the field, bringing in the light. Then there's no trigger buttons in there. The field is super solid. The stuff bounces off of the sides of the field. You become radiant. You become, you're the center of your energy. You are the one that radiates and transmits. Nothing comes in because your energy is going out. It's going out like a sun.
It's like a fountain. You can't throw a ball into a fountain because it'll just come straight back at you, can't it? So Katie, you still there? Nope, I've lost Katie. There we go. That was great. There's another one. Yep, and I'm losing the streams. Oh, I love this. So that was another 20 minutes gone. So let's see about reconnecting the streams. Let's see how long it takes to do that. And all right. There we go. Hello. Yeah. So there was another one. So we can just try and. Having trouble getting into Wolf Spirit Radio at the moment, so I've got the other stream running just now. That's taking its time. I hope nobody's messing about with it too much. Probably.
So you got interrupted on sociopaths and on avatar consciousness.
Right. Avatar consciousness. Right, okay, they asked for it. Katie, we have seen the film Avatar, so we're familiar with the word. People in the internet see this thing, Avatar, this gravatar, and that is the little picture, your profile picture, that identifies people. On the internet, that's what avatar means, right? And in gaming world, an avatar is the little being that represents you. But there are other avatars, and what? Sorry, you've really broken up, Kate.
Okay, you're breaking up also. So what do I mean by avatar consciousness?
Yes.
Is that the question? Okay. And can you hear me? Because you're breaking up on me. I don't know if you can hear me.
You are wall to wall, but there is a delay. But fine, just keep talking and you'll be fine.
All right, I'll keep talking. What I mean by avatar consciousness, I mean a human being that is capable of embodying full spectrum source light and soul light, the entirety of their soul into the body if they want to. Okay? And that they're able to hold that consciousness in a consistent way. And obviously to do that, you have to work first through all of your stuff, right? But I'm also being shown that, sometimes even just bringing in the light, it will knock that stuff out. We don't have to live and experience and process every single thing. Some things we can clear with energy, and some things we can... what we end up having to live out very often is our core karma. Do you know what I mean? Core lessons, core karma. We have to live those things out, and we have to move beyond those things, okay? But, and every time we do, we gain more light. We're capable of holding more light. And by light, I mean the energy of creation, the creation energy of which we are, that we are as our original soul, okay? So, does that clarify?
Oh, that's an avatar.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's an avatar consciousness. It's like the ability to hold all of yourself in yourself, and by all of yourself, I mean your whole multidimensionality, all the way up to your soul self. Right.
So,
okay.
In the terms of the stuff I talk about, the seven rays, and that's what we call monadic consciousness, where the monad is the source of the soul, so I think that's the monad is source, is a way of translating that.
Right.
So, meanwhile, Meanwhile, we need to, so by using this, by drawing in this, your highest self into your core,
Yep.
and it radiating out from the inside all the way through your skin, eventually
Yep.
it will burn all of the stuff, all of the dross, all of our lower consciousness, all of our bugs, all of our toxicity. It will push it away from itself, and it will express sometimes even through our skin. Like if somebody had shrapnel. I have a friend, he was in the Falklands War, and he says that every so often he'll get this little spot, it'll turn into a boil, then there'll be a little piece of metal, and then it'll heal up. And that piece of metal was deep, inches down in his skin. It's very slowly worked out from, the last 20 years, 30 years. So that's expression.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And even more so than skin, right? It will work all the way through the energy field, and it will push out features, programs, nasty chords, and so on. Any of the stuff that is trying to actually interfere as well. All right? Okay. So, should we start this little process?
Yes. Yes.
Right?
I'm sorry?
I'm thinking about 20 minutes here, and I'm just going to give you just an outline so that you can follow it, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And the outline is, first of all, we're going to clear your chakras in your field, right? So you're going to go to clearing, and then after that, we're going to connect you to soul consciousness, okay, through your crown. Then after that, we're going to pull soul consciousness into your body, and we're going to activate soul bodies and light body. Then we're going to go up, and we're going to hook into source, all right? And then we're going to bring that consciousness down, activate source bodies, okay? And in between of this, various things are going to be recalibrated, okay? Because it's a kind of like a loop process where to bring in light you have to clear, then the light comes in, you have to clear some more, and so on and so on. One of the things that I'm putting as a safeguard here is that that every person that does this process of meditation gets from it what they need and not more and not less. Okay? So everybody has their own energy field consciousness, let's call it. Okay? So I'm going to just set this up at the moment so that people do not receive more energy than they are supposed to, that people do not get activated more than they're supposed to. There is such a thing as activating too early. If some of you feel that you don't want to do this piece, don't do it. It's fine, okay? If you feel drawn and want to continue, it's fine. One of the things that I put out about half an hour before the show was that people would be drawn to this, that needed to do this, and that people that for which it wasn't appropriate, that they would not be drawn to this, okay? So it's likely that if you're listening to this, that somehow some part of you was drawn to at least a part of this process. But if you feel intuitively that it's not for you, feel free to check out, okay? Like, you don't have to do it. Just float in the nice energy if you want to. And that's it, okay? So total free will here. No invasion of boundaries of any kind. Your own true self is in charge of how much of this you want to receive, okay? So, I'm going to try to do this without music. It's kind of interesting. If I was doing it by myself, I would put music on it. Okay, so first of all, we're going to invoke here the highlight of your soul, and we're going to invoke here the highest expression of your being as a being that emanates from Source. We're also going to invoke here Source consciousness, the Source energy. So people call it God, Creator, Primary Creator, Source, whatever you want to call it, whatever resonates with you, higher power, etc. I'm going to call it Source for the rest of the meditation. So we're going to invoke the Source energy that is always here but we're going to invoke it forward as a present consciousness. And we are going to start by clearing and activating your energy field and your chakras. So imagine yourself inside of an egg of energy, and this egg of energy is your current energy field. And you are inside the egg, and in your being you have your 7 chakras from the base to the crown. And you also have the chakra below your feet, a couple of feet below your feet. It's your earth star. We're also going to connect your earth star to the core of the earth so that you are completely grounded. The core of the earth is a transmutation point. It's a chakra in itself. It's also a black hole. It's also a connector to the solar system. It's also a connector via the solar system to the galaxy and the center of the galaxy. So by connecting you to the core of the earth, we're connecting you to the planetary consciousness, to the solar consciousness, and to the galactic consciousness. And through that, through universal consciousness and source consciousness. We're also then going to go to your crown, and we're going to open your crown. And see your crown open like a beautiful fountain of light. See it almost as a beautiful lotus flower that is crystalline in nature, that opens, and at the center there's a beautiful seed. And the seed is the center of your chakra of the crown. And see the same happening to your heart. Your heart is also like a beautiful crystalline lotus, and it opens, and inside there is the seed of the heart chakra, which is also crystalline consciousness. It's also the black hole of the body. Now we're going to connect the crystalline heart to the core of the earth, to the core of the sun, to the core of the galaxy, to the core of the universe, to the core of source. Now, we're going to send energy into your being so that your being begins to clear. Your being begins to clear, your chakras clear. Your third eye opens. Your third eye, anything that has held your third eye from opening, trauma, past lives, vows, fear of being different, fear of being psychic, fear of being killed for your gifts, fear of any kind, fluoride in the water, whatever. Now we're going to assist you in releasing whatever is appropriate for you at this time out of your third eye. We're now going to do the exact same thing for your pineal gland. We're going to do the same thing for your crown chakra. Anything that has taken you out of your upper spiritual bodies, we're going to clear now. We're also going to clear any trauma that is in your lower chakras. Security trauma, abandonment trauma, rape, all of those things that we experience when in a body on the earth plane. Present lives, past lives, we're going to see it move out of the chakras cords to beings and people that are not for your highest good at this time to the degree that is appropriate for you in this moment. We're going to also clear and remove now. Okay? And as we do this, we're going to open the funnel entry of energy that is in the crystalline seed inside of the root chakra, and energy is going to start to flow from the environment, positive energy from your environment into your root chakra, going up all of the chakras and clearing them further as we go forward until we get to the heart, and the heart opens further, clear the crystalline seed. The light now goes through the throat chakra, all of the higher chakras, through the crown. The energy field begins to spin. It takes on its own spin. It fills with light. The light in the energy field becomes more refined and more beautiful. And this is the way human beings are supposed to look. They're supposed to have beautiful fields that shine, radiate. We are little star beings in a little package, right? And we radiate just as much as the sun when we're clear. Then as we do this, we also allow for the DNA to clear. If there's any strands in the DNA, and by strands I don't mean DNA strands, I mean literally energy strands in the DNA that are not supposed to be there, we're going to ask for them to be pulled. And if there's any corrupted DNA, we're going to ask for it to be fixed. If there's any junk DNA that needs to be activated, we ask for that to be activated to the degree that is for the highest good of each person in this moment at this time. If you do this meditation at another time, like in a month or 2 months from now, you may get a different set of clearing. But this is for what is appropriate right now in this moment for each person. Okay, and now we go from the heart through to the crown with the third eye open, and we reach through the crown, through the dimensions. We go beyond the dimensions of the earth. We go through the higher dimensions of light into the realms of pure consciousness, and we reach for the original light of our soul. The soul, even according to your 7 rays thing, actually does not fully incarnate. Only parts of the soul are projected into incarnation. The majority of the soul energy stays in the soul plane, and it looks like a beautiful beaming golden sun of light. Each person has one of these. It's beautiful. And connect. What we're doing right now, we're building the bridge of the Anticorona. Connect your crown to the soul, to the center of this beautiful sun of light that is you on the soul plane, and start to bring in the energy of the soul back down through the crown into the heart chakra, and then into the heart chakra. It downloads into the seed of the heart, right in the middle of the heart chakra. And as the energy comes back down into the heart, it radiates, and it radiates through the whole energy field. It radiates through the body. The energy field is no longer an egg. The energy field now is a huge sphere of light. This is your light body. Light body is nothing but the activation of the soul bodies into the physical being. And as you bring more light in from your soul, your light body activates, light body becomes filled with light, your emotions clear. You begin to radiate. And stay with that energy for a moment. Stay with that energy and allow it to integrate to the degree required at this time. And then we're going to do the same thing again. And we're going to go through the heart seed, through the crown chakra, up, and we're going to bypass the soul plane this time. We're going to go higher and higher through the dimensions, higher and higher through the experience of reality, higher and higher through creation, until we dock and connect with the center of source that is the center of all. It's the alpha and the omega in some ways, the beginning and the end. It's everything, and at the same time it does have an individualized consciousness into the creation core. And we make that connection through the crown, and we bring the source energy back into the body. We bring it through the crown, into the heart chakra, You download the source energy into the energy field. You download the source energy into the crystalline seed of the heart. And then there comes a point where the energy hits and it starts to radiate as well. And when it does so, the whole being is filled with source light. All of the energy fields are filled with source light. Light body is filled with source light. And you will see another body that activates on top of that. Okay? And this other body is your source body. And it literally is just luminous. That's just luminous. Luminous light. And not only is it luminous, it's impenetrable, it's sacred. It is, if you can hold this field if you were able to hold this field on a 24/7 basis, it takes you into a really, really high space, and it literally is the highest protection that you can have. Okay? Now, when you stay in this energy, various things in your body are going to start to realign to this energy. Cells are going to start shifting. Your chakras are going to take on additional radiance, additional shine. You can see shine in the chakras. They're not just clear, they're not just open, they have shine. Okay? Energy field also has shine, and you become to be a creation source, transmitter of high frequency. Your DNA starts to take on shine as well. Okay? And while we're here, any inserts that we were talking about before, karmic inserts, let's just burn them up. And any stuff that has been put into any of our beings, not just in this lifetime, but in other lifetimes as well, any parts of our DNA that were taken down or shut down, if it is the right time for each person to the degree that is appropriate for them, let's see that also clear and repair. And if there's any parts of the DNA that need to be switched on, once again, let's do that too. Okay? Now DNA, multidimensional, it's a multidimensional thing. 2 physical strands, many multidimensional strands, okay? So we're working on the multidimensional levels of the DNA when we're doing this clearing. And now, if we look at the planet Earth, imagine and visualize planet Earth, and imagine and visualize around the planet Earth in the same way that the planet Earth has an atmosphere. Planet Earth also has a grid of consciousness that is made of many different layers, and this grid of consciousness is the collective consciousness of humanity. Alright? There's many different layers to it. We're not all on the same grid. And what I would like you to do in your mind, place the energy of that you have just brought into your field, and imagine just placing it onto the collective grids of humanity consciousness. And know that by doing so, you're raising the consciousness at the collective level, making it easier, you're becoming an anchor point of light, making it easier for the next person that wants to raise their vibration in a similar way to do so and to do the same. You're also helping the energy to go to the next level as an average, so that eventually the idea is for the whole of the collective to take on the shine, and at that point break loose from all of the bonds and attachments of the heavy dark vibration. And while you're in this space, just because we're here, you may want to take a look at the sun, okay? Because the sun is also a being, and the sun has many different levels of consciousness also. And take a look and see if you can perceive the high consciousness level of the sun, and see how potent it is, and how much it's really trying to assist us right now into this process and connect with the sun so that you can become more conscious of the shift that is happening with the solar galactic field, not because you're reading it in a book, but because you're experiencing it on your own. So take a moment to just see if you can connect with the sun's consciousness. And take a look at the infinity of creation and all of the beauty that is around us. We forget of the beauty of the world. Yeah, but there's so much heaviness that we forget sometimes of the beauty. It's just breathtakingly beautiful, especially when you can tap into slightly higher consciousness than the average that's being broadcast at the moment. And then return to your body. Spin your field so that as to release any excess energy that may be too much for you right now, maybe unpleasant or not time yet for you to bring in. So spin your field, and this will literally, it's a little bit like dogs when they have a shower and then they spin their fur so that the extra water comes out. Spin your field and get all of the extra energy to release so that you can stay grounded and integrate appropriately. Connect once more with the Earth Star chakra below your feet and anchor your being fully into your body. And that would be all for this process for right now.
Good.
There you go. Done.
Very good. Very good. How's your headache?
Headache is gone. It's good.
Good. Yeah, I thought so.
See what I mean? You get to the high frequency, headache goes. It's good.
It's very interesting. I feel my body's going. It's like all sorts of joints are popping in and out, and it's very odd.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
That's
I'm sorry. I get a. It's like I'm being shaken up. Like somebody's picked me up by my neck, and just gently shaken me like a little fish. You know, just just snap everything back in.
It's good. It's good.
It's all good.
All right. We have.
About 6 minutes.
Okay. I'm just going to say something. That is that. Obviously, this is the most accelerated. To really, truly integrate really high consciousness, you kind of have to do meditation processes on a regular basis. Do you know what I mean? But I guess this is just a way kind of to show you where to go. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't mean necessarily that. Connected with source consciousness, we're done, right? But at least it gives you a map of one of the things that you can do to bring high consciousness into the body, right? A process to play with. And I'm sure there's a million other processes that one can do, but this is one that I was guided to share today, okay?
Well, thank you very much, Katie. I'm going to be. I'll make it available to you straight away. You'll be making a YouTube from that. You're going to dub some music onto it or something?
No, actually, what I'm going to do. This is time permitting because there's always, I have to do a million things. I'm trying to write my book and trying to stay alive on the planet. In the sense working, do you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. But one of the things that I want to do, I actually want to break this process down further so that people can do it in steps rather than all in one go. And then I'm going to put that onto YouTube. So I'm going to break it down like into 4 or 5 different steps so that each point, because for example, connecting with the soul, that's important. We've just zoomed up, went to the soul, brought it down. But you can actually spend some time there and learn something, right? So I'm going to break it down so that people can go into more depth if they want to. But also, if you give me a link of the actual show, I usually upload whatever we do. And it's almost like YouTube has its own little audience going.
Yeah.
And they kind of follow what we're doing. So it's not a big audience, it's small, but they seem to follow, so it's great. So I put the shows up for them as well, okay?
All right, so you get people who won't listen to a podcast archive, but they will listen to YouTube. Interesting.
Yeah, it's odd, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's download a still picture for 2.5 hours.
That's right. But obviously the picture is there. But I think it's not just that, it's like an environment, right?
Yes,
you're
that's
on
right.
YouTube, you're in the YouTube world. You're in the YouTube world and so on. And when you're on Facebook, you're in the Facebook world. Each one is like a little world and it has its own kind of rules. So I think some people are more comfortable in the YouTube world and some are more comfortable in the Facebook world. Some are more comfortable in the archives.
And of course, Katie Galanti being a multidimensional, you can exist in all of these worlds simultaneously. I mean, actually, that's quite an interesting metaphor for the soul's expression into different realities and parallel universes, isn't it?
It is. It is. It is. And, yeah, the YouTube thing, I put a video up, the first YouTube video that I put up, and by the way, I don't have a huge following on YouTube, nor do I want it particularly. I kind of have enough people to deal with already in some ways. But the first video that I put up on YouTube was literally, like, one afternoon I was there and I was like, okay, I'm going to record this article, put some pictures to it. Oh, it looks pretty. Okay, let's put it on YouTube. It has 10,000 views, that thing.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And, well, so here's the thing, Katie. I mean, you have the advantage of me so much in that you can get some really nice colours and fonts, and you've got a really good eye for that sort of thing. And it is creating the environment. I mean, it is such a Cancerian thing, isn't it? It's like just kind of let me just decorate the room, put a few cushions around. Come in, you'll be comfortable. It's nice. Here's some candles, some incense, you know.
That's right. And you know, my home is exactly like that.
I imagine.
My home is full of like pink and purples and you know, incense and candles. It's all color. I'm a color person.
Well, I've got a lot of black boxes in this room because you know, I'm a musician, and like it's like towers of black boxes, like Marshall amplifiers and speaker stacks and stuff like that. But I have it's all very wooden.
Talking. So we need the masculine feminine blend here. Do you know what I mean? You see, it's important.
Exactly. So what I've done is I've got a great big purple Celtic cross hanging up on the wall to kind of counterbalance the big piles of black boxes.
Excellent. Sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of throw things that you get at festivals. They're about 7 feet square, made in India, and they're printed with those big wooden carvings, wood cutting things, batik, all that stuff, and it's a great big purple Celtic cross. It's great. Meanwhile, we're just about out of time for today. It's been a great show. I'm going to upload the meditation separately. I'm going to send a copy over to my next guest, Jay, and he's going to be talking about scalar waves, and we'll be doing a demonstration of. I don't know whether I'll have time to demonstrate the thing, but certainly it would be interesting to play your meditation at the same time as our show's going on, and we'd kind of vibrate the thing. Be very, very interesting. It's been a very, very lovely 2 hours. Thank you so much, Katie. Tell people about your website.
Oh, that's right, website. Okay, go to reclaimingthelight.blogspot.com. I'm going to transform that into just reclaimingthelight.com at some point, but for the moment, just go there. You'll find everything. Okay, so reclaimingthelight.blogspot.com. Okay.
Excellent. So, Katie Galanti, out of the box. It's I can't say. I don't know what it's been. It's too many words to describe.
No, I know the word. New weird.
New weird. It's been definitely new weird. That was so. That weird is so last week. This is the new weird. Bless your heart. Thank you very much. And so we'll be joining Jay Larson in a few minutes. Last words, Katie.
Okay, bye. I've no last words, just bye.